Stephanie, we were talking about this earlier. When it first came up about Circle Drive and they called about the rezoning out there, why it was zoned commercial, is that a finance company? Do you remember?
Yeah.
That's
It-
what I thought. If you'll look at my monitor, there's a pink sticky note. Yeah. That's the guy's name and everything. But Sinclair's his name. Yeah. I thought it was finance. I wanted to make sure before I said something wrong.
All right, it looks like it's 6 o'clock, so I'll call to order the regularly called meeting of the Kingston City Council. I'd like to ask Mr. McPherson if he'd lead us in invocation. I'll lead in the pledge to the flag. Mr. McPherson.
Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to be a free people, able to make decisions on behalf of the community through our elected representatives. We pray for your guidance as they make these decisions, and we pray for this community, for this state, and for this nation, for we know that they are all in your hands. For in the name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Brown. Councilmember Brown.
He's on there, must be having difficulty.
Councilmember Childs.
Present.
Councilmember Griffiths.
Present.
Vice Mayor Humphreys.
Present.
Councilmember Stockton.
Present.
Councilmember Wright.
Present.
Mayor Neal.
Present. All right, the first item on we got is the approval of previous minutes. Do I hear a motion to approve the previous minutes as written?
I'll make the motion.
There's a second. I'll second. There was any corrections or deletions to the minutes?
No, sir.
Madam Clerk, call the roll on the minutes, please.
Councilmember Brown. It looks like he's connecting to audio right now. I'll give him just a second. Councilmember Brown.
Here.
Do you approve the previous minutes?
Yes.
Councilmember Childs.
Yes.
Councilmember Griffiths,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Humphries,
Yes.
Councilmember Stockton,
Yes.
Councilmember Wright,
Yes.
Mayor Neal.
Aye.
7 ayes.
All right, next item is anyone wishing to appear or speak before the council. Do we have anyone that wants to speak before the council or not?
Yes, I would.
Yes, Ms. Crowe.
My name is Renee Crow, and I live at 342 Sunrise Drive in Kingston. We have recently had some speed bumps placed on our road. I've lived at this address for 32 years, and, you know, we've always had speeding cars up and down on this road. I've raised 2 children, and I have a granddaughter that plays on this road, and I agree with the fellow neighbors that there are people that drive up and down this road very fast. Do I feel like it's an issue that warrants speed bumps of this magnitude? I do not. I don't know what it is I need to do to try and have these speed bumps removed, A, or B, reduced in size. There's a few issues that I'm concerned about. A speed limit on this road. There are no speed limits posted. We've always assumed it may be 30 miles an hour, maybe 25, I don't know. But nothing is posted. We do not have a lot of police officers that drive this road, that monitor the speed. That could have been helpful in avoiding the speed bumps. Now, you know, I've driven this road for 32 years, and now I'm forced to drive Lawnville, which has so many potholes. I can't really determine what's worse on my car, the potholes or the speed bumps. So I don't know what your procedure is on notifying the residents on this road that this was going to happen. I would like to ask the question on how that is done. Do you send letters out? Do you notify? What is your procedure?
Mr. Bunny, can you answer that?
Yes. Tim Clark was going to be on the call. Or on the meeting. He may jump on in a few minutes. If he does, then certainly he can expand on this. You know, in terms of notification, well, you know, to back up, obviously this isn't something that we did on our own accord. This is something that was requested by petition from a majority of the residents on the street. The existing policy, our notification is through signage. It's actually on the agenda tonight to start talking about possible revisions to this policy. If that ends up coming into play, then, you know, certainly what's there now could change. But, you know, they were built according to the existing policy, and again, they were requested. You know, we've had we have one other street that was done roughly about the same time. We've had some issues there, and so we're hoping we can address some of that with these proposed changes, and see what council wants to do. But I don't know, to answer your question, and I don't know if somebody else may. I don't know what the process would be to take them out. I know that it's 51% of the homeowners, the property owners, to request, so it may be the same to remove. But again, we've got it on the agenda, and we'll, you know, we're certainly willing to do whatever council wants to do on it.
Well, another issue that I'd like to bring up, and it may be something that you guys might want to consider while you continue to discuss changing your policy. I know my neighbor wasn't at home when this petition was brought around. Me and her have had a discussion. She was supposed to be here tonight, and she just texted me. She had to work late, and she's given me permission to speak for her. But her name is Alina Bennett. Her girlfriend signed the petition. She is not a homeowner. the homeowner was against the speed bumps, but yet her girlfriend signed it. And I don't know if that made it 51% or how she deals with that, but she is quite upset that that happened. She didn't know about it. I think it might be something that maybe you could look at in your procedure, your new procedure that you go follow through with. Maybe to follow your BZA and how they notify for special use permits and variances that are issued. Notifying a letter to all the residents on the road by letter, by an ad in the paper. I never saw a sign on the road. If there was a sign ever posted, I'm on my road every day, 2 or 3 times a day. I never saw any signs. I didn't know it happened, and so I come home one evening and it's dark and I hit one of those speed bumps. These are not normal speed bumps. I've been through the parking lot of Kroger. I've been through the parking lots of Lowe's. I've been up and down the different roads. It's called Poman's Road by slang, I think, but I don't think that's the official name for it. These speed bumps are quite a bit larger. If it is going to be forced upon me as a resident to have these speed bumps, I would appreciate them to be flattened out just a little bit, because they will jolt you. They are very large. I personally don't want them on my road. I feel like I'm driving through a parking lot coming home from a hard day's work, and I don't like that. Like I said, I've lived here for 32 years, and, you know, another issue that I'm concerned about is when we have ice and snow. This road, I don't know if any of you have ever driven my road, but it is up and down and up and down and up and down, and I'm at the very bottom of the hill. And if we have ice or snow, nobody's going to get off this road. And with those speed bumps, from my understanding from Tim Clark and talking with him, that they will not scrape these roads anymore, or treat them. So that's another of my concern. The people that live on this road are used to being able to get out when we have those bad weather issues, and you're not going to be able to anymore. So I need advice, I guess, from you, being the council, of what I can do to go forward from here, because I didn't know that this was happening. Therefore, I feel like my hands got tied because I didn't have a say in anything. So I guess that's all I have to say. Do you have anything that you want to say?
Well, Mr. Earl, I just went through, I was looking at the policy, and at the bottom of the policy, it states about the removal. And to remove them, it's the same way as it is to put them in. So 51% of the residents on that street would have to say to remove them.
So even if one of the persons that signed it was not a homeowner, is there anything in your policy that you have to be a homeowner to sign that?
It says
You don't have to own it. You have to reside in the home.
Yeah.
I'm assuming this person that signed lives in the home. But I mean, the same thing would apply to a renter. It doesn't have to be the property owner, but
Okay.
you know, and I'll just say from our standpoint, and again, if Tim jumps on in a bit, you know, like I said, we have this on the agenda, but you know, we aren't proponents of these. I mean, they make public works job harder. You know, like you said, in terms of snow removal, it's a lot of work to build them. Then if they have to go back and modify them, you know, it's more work on them. But again, you know, this was requested by the citizens through an existing policy, so we really didn't have when the request was made, we really didn't have a say on it. So again, it could be that policy changes. So I would say, I think it's the second item on our agenda tonight. I don't know if you've seen the agenda, but definitely stay tuned, because we'll have more conversation coming up. And
So
hopefully
let me
Tim will
ask
be on by
you,
then.
if I could ask this, if, I guess my hands are tied doing anything as far as having them removed, because if they got 51%, I'm definitely not going to get them removed. But what can we do to have them modified?
that's part of the stuff. That's some of the stuff we're going to discuss tonight.
Okay. For
Yeah,
for the existing ones, not ones going forward.
both.
Okay. Okay, awesome, okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I would also suggest that there may be some of those residents that have changed their mind
It's
since
possible.
they've gone up.
It's
So
quite
I don't know why, if Ms. Crowe wants them removed, she can do just like the other resident that brought it to us, bring another petition back with 51% to take them back out while we're reviewing this next policy. Because I think if the policy changes pass with recommendations that I'm going to have, there will be fewer of these. And like I told you when we started this, that you know, give everybody 30 days, 60 days, and they won't like them. And that's happened twice in the last 2 months. Thank you.
Okay, so how do I obtain this, the petition?
If you call in tomorrow and talk to Kelly Jackson, she can probably email you the
Okay,
petition.
okay. Well, I appreciate each one of y'all listening to me. I appreciate what you do. I do this monthly myself in my job, and I know how hard it is, and y'all have a good evening. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, anyone else wishing to address the council tonight? All right, seeing none. We're going to the reports of the mayor and city council. First thing I'd like to do is I'd like to give a big shout out to Coach Nairmore and the Yellow Jackets for making it to the state next week. We probably could not support them as much as we wanted to this year, but the boys have done good, and been 30 years since the last time we had a team go to state in boys basketball, so let's hope they do well. All right, I'll go around. Miss Wright, you're first on my screen.
Yes, sir.
Miss Humphries.
Yes, I'd spoken with Chase earlier and got some updates on the park and rec, so I'm going to try to condense this a little bit. But the mailing campaign that we started for fundraising for the 4th has to this point raised almost $13,000. So that's good news. The baseball and volleyball seasons are underway. We've got the first volleyball game this weekend, and the trusses have been set at the indoor batting cage, and they're sheeting it with plywood right now. Also, Brad Taylor has equipped the visitor centers with new cameras and security systems, and Ken Inman's working on improvements to the buildings on the grounds. And this week we started cleaning the lake shore with the long arm.
Good.
And that's about it for Park and Rec. But while I have the floor, Mayor, I wanted to bring up something that I had actually wanted to bring up at the workshop, but since we didn't have the workshop this month, I thought I would bring it up now while I had the floor. Something that I had been looking into and talking to some people about is Christmas lights. I had several people talk to me this year, pretty much complain to me about the Christmas lights, and I had talked to a couple of the council members. I know I talked to Councilmember Stockton back in January about what I had in mind, but I think she's decided to go a different route with the beautification committee. But I did want to bring this before council before I went any further. I've talked to Tim Clark about it and David, and right now we do have a little bit of extra funding that we could do something with Christmas lights along Kentucky. And we haven't bought any in 10 years. And the possibility had come up of getting more lights for Kentucky and taking the snowflake lights that we have and putting them along the dike. But there's, I understand, an REU problem, which I'm hoping Councilman Childs can help out with that. I haven't had an opportunity to talk to him about it yet. Honestly, my mom's been ill, and I haven't had a lot of time to follow up on some of these things. But I think whether we do anything or we don't do anything, or what we do or what we put up, needs to be a council decision. And so I wanted to bring it up tonight to see if there was any interest in that before I even go any further to bring anything else definitive back to council.
If it's okay, I would like to speak on the lights as well.
Yeah.
If As far as the lights, I agree 100% with you. The lights are definitely something that we need a lot of, especially by having even the area of Gulliver Road. I think that's another area that we can even target as well in the city. So we definitely have, we, as beautification, we just took a little small step to try to get some involvement, but we definitely have a whole lot of room for lots of lights. So that would be a huge plus for the city. So we could just look at what way we could support it with adding anything the beautification was going to do would just be supplementary if there's more lights that are purchased.
Okay, we can add that to the agenda for next month work session. We've got a few months before we can need to make a decision whether to buy them or use whatever we got. So we still got a few months on that.
Okay.
Anything else, Ms. Hunt?
No, I just wanted to, before I spend a lot of time in it, I just kind of wanted to see where council might stand on it. I mean, it's been 10 years since the last ones were bought, and while we do have a little bit of extra money that we could use, I just wanted to see if there was any interest in it before I, put a lot of legwork in the particulars to bring before council.
Okay. All right, Ms. Stockton, do you have anything else to add?
Actually, I do. And actually, while we have Mr. Clark too joining us, I just wanted to thank their department on adding the drain that we hope is going to fix the flooding issue that happens along Cumberland Street and, well, actually around Court Street and 3rd Street. So and I don't know if you want to, if I yield the floor to Mr. Clark, if you want to maybe do more explaining what I was talking about.
Yeah, that'd be fine. Mr. Clark.
Yes, we've had a drainage problem up on Moore Street for several years now. We've had a problem with water standing, people getting out of their cars, especially when we changed the parking up there. We've got that rerouted over to the opposite side of 3rd Street, and I think that's going to work out a lot better for people getting out of their vehicles.
Well, I appreciate that. I just wanted to make sure to give y'all just an extra thank you for taking care of that, because that's a huge thing that a lot of comments from the citizens of appreciating that parking, not to have to park in water or have to park in another area. And also Friday, just as a reminder, we have the Bethel Cemetery Help Day, and we went to the cemetery and looked at other things as far as just improvements to help. It's a cemetery that needs a lot of, I guess you'd say, tender loving care that maybe has just got overlooked, but a beautiful area that we think that we can make it do quite a bit of improvements. So we're excited about that. And it's 10 o'clock on Friday morning, but that will be it.
Mr. Brown?
There, I'm having computer problems now. My report from the 911 board, it's a lengthy report. It's in your packet, so at your leisure, you can read that 100-page report if you would like to. Tomorrow, we will be placing message boards, if it's all right with the citizens or with the city council, congratulating the basketball team at locations. Chase is going to help. Dennis is sending his message boards. And Tim, if you've got one, if council, if they're agreeable to this, we may want to use yours. I've only got 3 spares right now. I've got one at COVID down at the health department they're using. But we thought about Mr. Overstreet putting one there and putting one where there's not anything at each end of town. Congratulations jacket or Kingston State Bound, whatever Chase and Coke come up with. So just wanted to tell you, if you see those, that's compliments of Mr. Ferguson. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Mr. Childs?
No, sir. I haven't been the manager's report. Anyone wants to take a look at it?
Okay. let me go back because I forgot something during my report. I'm going to create an ad hoc committee or look into a new community, new rec center build. I'm going to have 3 people off council. It'll be Ms. Humphreys, Ms. Wright, and Mr. Childs. 2 citizens, Paul Rogers and Jamie Davis. And of course, Chase Clem and David Bowling is heading up that ad hoc committee. And they'll be tasked with what, 3 things I could think of, and it could become up more. What do we need? What's it going to look like? We need a basketball gymnasium, indoor pool, workout center, whatever it's going to look like. 2 would be where to put it, and 3 mainly would fall back on us as the funding for it. So I know that David will start working on getting them together to sit down and start having a discussion about that. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Bowling.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, I don't know what that noise was, but I have a few things here in addition to my written reports. As we talked about previously, our plan is still to reopen City Hall and the Community Center to the public at the beginning of next month. That said, we're going to keep watching the situation until we make a final decision. We're still afraid that with spring break coming up, that we may have another spike, hopefully temporary, in cases. And we just don't know if April is going to be too soon or not. It may be that we look mid-April or even the 1st of May, but as of now, our goal is still the 1st of April, and it's just a little too soon to put that in stone, but I'll keep you posted as that gets a little closer, and we'll keep an eye on the situation. I wanted to give you a quick update on our property tax collections. I sent you out some numbers the other day. As you probably know, we take, if payments come in after the deadline that are postmarked, then we will post them as current. And as of this morning, we're at $1,947,193, which puts us at 99% of our estimated collections. So we're very happy about that. We still have over $100,000 in unpaid taxes, so I'm very confident that we'll hit our goal. And with all that people have faced this year, and certainly looking at some of the problems that other communities are having, I think we're very fortunate to be in the position we're in. So some good news there. Speaking of the budget, that process is well underway on our end. I'm pretty much now in full-time budget mode, and the departments will be submitting their budget worksheets to Michelle by the end of the day tomorrow. We'll start next week having meetings with the individual departments and keep working on a preliminary budget that I'll have submitted to you by April 1st. As we talk about every year, that's way too early. There's a lot we don't know. A lot of information is still very fluid at that point, but I'm bound by the charter to have you a budget by April 1st, and that's what we'll do. And then we'll keep working on it from there. So that process in full swing, even though it seems like we just got out of it. Unfortunately, we weren't successful. A little bit of bad news, weren't successful in our recent application for the traffic signal modernization grant. I felt like we submitted a strong application. Tim's department did a good job on that. Only a handful of cities were selected. I haven't seen the scoring. Hopefully I'll get that, but I imagine that per capita income probably played a role in why we got turned down, as it does with so many grants. If there is something that can be improved on, or if their scoring model changes, then we'll definitely look at reapplying for that. But hate that we didn't get that. Finally, just want to touch on something Vice Mayor Humphrey mentioned, that our fundraising is going very well for the 4th. We're ahead of schedule. Normally, we don't even have our fundraising letters out by now. We decided to be a lot more aggressive in that, really try to put more effort, more personal effort into our fundraising, and I think it's paying off. We have had our first planning meeting. We had that had that last week. Obviously, there's a lot of unknowns remaining, and especially this far out, but we're moving ahead with cautious optimism. We're in the process right now, as we usually do at this point, in evaluating what worked, what didn't work the last time we did it, and what we can do to make this event better than the ones we've had before. So we're working behind the scenes. We'll have a lot more work to do before we have a finished product ready to present, but we'll be working, and we'll keep you posted as that process moves along. Obviously, after last year, we all look forward to having a great event, and that's all I have unless you have any questions.
Does anyone have any questions for the city manager? Mr. Brown.
Just two real quick ones. David, without putting you on the spot, our local sales tax from the trustee and also the state sales tax, looks like we're going to be over on it also, where it's going pretty well.
Yeah, both look really well. We had the strongest, about $30,000 more than February from last year. We're not, we're hopeful that is a trend. That some of the new businesses that are open are contributing to that, but we're going to watch that. We're anxious to see next month's collections to see if that keeps trending in that direction. But as of now, both those sales tax revenues are looking good. And again, compared to the problems that a lot of places have had this year, we're very, very fortunate. So we're
also
optimistic.
The gasoline fuel tax looks like it's on line to be over.
It is. I think it will exceed a little bit. We're as people get out traveling, that's going to help out. And I think we'll hit our goal and probably exceed it by a little bit. So.
And my last thing is just a little trivial thing that I thought of after we wrote off the water and the sewer bills in the water department last time. What happens to the garbage tipping fees when somebody doesn't pay their water and gas? Do we? I've never seen us write any of those off. Do they just disappear, or what happens to those? And you may not know. You may be up checking. Just let me know. I just thought that's another bill that something needs to be done with.
I see Michelle moving there, so maybe she can answer that. That's honestly something I've never thought about. So.
Most of the time, those garbage fees are actually included in that bill that we billed for back when, and then of course they didn't pay it for so many years, and it ends up written off. We've already paid that, so I mean it's basically a loss for us. But I mean, it's one of those things.
So it's a loss for the water department, but not for the city. Then I won't ask any more questions then.
Right. Correct. Because the water department still pays the city, and the city still pays Waste Connections. So.
Any other questions for the city manager? All right, we're going to item number 7. Addition of items added to the meeting agenda received after the close of the deadline and did not receive any. 8, there's no unfinished business. 9 will go into new business. And discussion to consideration to authorize the city manager and city attorney to proceed with the rezoning of 3 parcels on Circle Drive to correct an apparent mapping area. And I'll turn it over to Mr. McPherson and Mr. Bowman.
So, and I'll let Sandy jump in on this one as well, but we had a phone call probably a couple weeks ago from a finance company about one of the parcels on Circle Drive, and their question was, when was it zoned commercial and why? And that wasn't a question that we had an answer to. In fact, we weren't aware that it was until we looked at the map that it was those 3 parcels were zoned commercial. And we reached out to David Williams to see if we could get any kind of background information. They went back as far as their records go on old copies of the map, and it showed all showed commercial. We looked in our minutes, we couldn't find any record of it ever being rezoned. So we don't have any way of knowing for sure, but our guess is that maybe it was a mapping error when the original map was done. Obviously those 3 parcels are very close to a commercial zone, so it could be that they were just coded wrong. when that map was done, but we don't know. But in order to correct it, following the advice of the city attorney and the planner, the process to do that would be to rezone it. So, it's I don't know exactly what the issue is. I imagine that it could create financing issues potentially for somebody. We also could potentially face the issue of somebody buying that property at some point, or one of those properties under the assumption that it is zoned commercial and it not be correctly zoned. So, Sandy, if I haven't butchered that explanation, too bad. You can jump in, but long story short, if it's wrong, we probably need to fix it, and the way to fix it is to go through the process just like we would a normal rezoning.
And that's correct, Mayor. That have to do another ordinance.
So we really don't need to take any action on that until you bring us the ordinance, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So
Well,
then,
the process would be, and Sandy, correct me if I'm wrong, but the initial process would be for you to refer this to the Planning Commission, and then once they refer it back to City Council, technically you could do it with or without their recommendation, but at that point is when the council would vote. So I would imagine the first thing, and you could do this tonight, would be just to refer it to the Planning Commission to start that process.
And that is also correct that the code requires it be sent to the Planning Commission for their consideration. It's just rezoning, just like you would any other rezoning. And so I agree with the city manager that you all should take action to send it to the Planning Commission for their consideration, let them move it through their process, and it come back to you once they have approved it.
do I hear a motion to that effect to send this rezoning to the Planning Commission?
Hey, Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Brown?
move to send it to the Planning Commission.
Thank you, sir. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you. Ms. Humphries, correct?
No, it wasn't me. But I mean, I can second it, but somebody did, I think.
It was Tara.
Okay, I'm sorry. All right. Ms. Stockton. All right, is there any more discussion on that tonight? All right, with that, Madam Clerk, you call the roll to send this to the Planning Commission.
Councilmember Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Childs,
Yes.
Councilmember Griffiths,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Humphries,
Yes.
Councilmember Stockton,
Yes.
Councilmember Wright,
Yes.
Mayor Neal.
Aye.
7 ayes.
All right, item B is discussion and consideration of revisions to the speed hump policy. I'll open it up to the floor. Whoever would like to start speaking about this first. I think Mr. Brown had some things he said earlier in his report. Let's pull it up and look at it.
Well, I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so. Every time we do these, people complain. People that sign the petition after they go in don't like them. We've had the same thing out in Edmond Estates that Tim's crew has put them down, took them up, put them down, took them back up again. City manager has a plan that he's worked out with Tim that we've looked at. If you looked in your packet, you'll notice that there are all kinds of speed bumps that are pre-manufactured, the exact same color, the exact same size, the exact same width. And, I hate to change policies, but maybe this one is not the best policy that we've got. And again, if we change it, we need to stick with it. We need to tell these people that go fuss with their neighbors, that they're the ones that requested it. And, and Ms. Crow brought up about the woman that just lived at the house and didn't own it. Just think what happens when you put it down a street where their apartment houses are at, and there's, if out next to the ball field at Cherokee, if that one apartment house has got 100 apartments in it, if they all wanted, for one reason or one speed bumps, they could outvote all of the neighborhoods and put it on one of the business streets. But anyway, I guess that you can form a committee or let David and Tim and Sandy look at it. But I'm going to propose when we get down to it that we increase it from 51% to 75% of the residents, the same thing that the county has now with 75%, and that the requesters of the speed bumps tell us how many they want, and they have to follow our standard about being so far away from the fire plugs at an intersection and that sort of thing, that we include in it that now that we've got these fancy counters and these speed deals that we did on this last one we did, that we incorporate that into the policy. And then the one that'll be most controversial, I think the people ought to have to pay for. That we've got a set price that if they want 2 or 4 or 6 or 8, all they got, and that price list is in your packet, that you just multiply that by however many you want. And if the neighborhood comes up with it, that's fine and good. But, you know, these things are the worst things in the world for your vehicle. I would not want to live on a street. That's the reason I live in a cul-de-sac. I've always lived in a cul-de-sac. That I wouldn't want to drive across them either. But every time that they come to the council, the first thing they say is the kids are not safe riding their bicycles in the street. Guys, it's against the law for the kids to ride their bicycles and play basketball in the street. It's for vehicles. We need to think about those things. But it's almost, I don't want to make it hard on everybody, but I just believe from the experience that this council has had with speed bumps, they're just so controversial and they're just so damaging. That's my deal. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Anyone else?
Mayor, is Tim still on with us? Michelle, is he still here? I was just wondering, I know Ms. Crow had said she didn't have any warning, and this policy as we have now says that there's supposed to be a temporary warning sign with flashing lights. Was that not installed on your street?
We done those on the previous street.
I'm sorry?
And we done those on, put the signs, the flashing lights and all on the previous street that was requested speed bumps. And when we did, the same people that signed the petition was complaining about the signs being in their yard. So by our existing ordinance, I think we only have to put one sign on each end of where the speed bumps are.
But you did put them on Sunrise, correct? On Sunrise Drive?
No, we did not. No. We put them on Montview before that and had to go back out there and take them all back down.
Oh, okay, because they
people
complain.
complain about the signs in front of their home.
It's kind of like whatever we do, there's a complaint. It's me personally, I hate them. I would be kicking and screaming if they were on my street. But when people come to council and they have met all the specifications and they have the correct percentage of residents, you know, our hands are pretty much tied unless we do like Councilmember Brown said and just change that to 75% or whatever. But it's really become a problem. And I know that she said something about, you know, reducing the size, and Tim can speak on this, but I think at Montview they were, it was like Goldilocks. They were too high and then they were too low and then they were too this and that, and nothing really pleased them. So kind of in a position of, what do you do?
I understand people are concerned about the flow of traffic and the speed, but we need to, if we continue to place speed bumps now, we need to renew a policy on it. My concern is if we don't do something about it, we're gonna have speed bumps all over every town, every street in town. And it's a very expensive process. Once you count the labor and material, it adds up and it'll affect my budget.
Well, and haven't you been to Montview like 3 different times, making them higher and lower? And
yes, we put them up, put the signs down, took the signs down, took the humps back down, put them back up. I mean, we just got wore out, and I'm sure you're all, the phone is rung, the city managers, I know everyone's been wore out about it. It's just hard to please everyone.
Mayor,
Yes.
Can I have the floor?
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay. Honestly, I think we should get rid of the policy altogether. This decision should probably be made by the police department, the roads department, and city council. And if no one is in agreement with that, I understand. But so if we're going to do a policy instead of getting rid of it altogether, it definitely should, like the city manager and Tim have discussed, it should be the ones that we were sent in our packet. And I agree with Tony, it should be a much higher percentage. And I honestly think it needs to be the actual property owner. I know the property owners, if they have renters, they filter the money they pay in taxes to that rent. But I feel like a homeowner would have a great problem if we put a speed bump near their house that they own, who they rent, and then they go to try to sell their house later, and people don't like that speed bump, and they have trouble selling that house. So just some things to consider.
Mayor, if I could, I think, we've had some good, I think everybody's suggestions are good, and including Ms. Crow's. I like the idea, if we're going to do this, of mailing out notices. I like every idea that's been mentioned here. These aren't anything that we do because we like them. One thing I'd recommend, maybe we put this on the agenda for next month's workshop and talk about it a little more and see if, what we want a policy to look like. The only thing I would ask is, if you do this, maybe tonight, council consider putting a temporary moratorium on speed bumps. So if we get any more requests before we have a chance to figure out what you all want to do, that we can kind of put those on hold. So
Even if we get a request, we can say, we're in process.
As of now, if we get a request that meets the policy, we don't have the option of not doing it. And so that was my thought. If we put a moratorium on it, at least we can put a hold on this for a little bit till we figure out what we want to do.
Yeah, we'll probably beat this to death for a while, I'd say.
Can I make a motion to do that?
Yes.
And I would second that.
Okay. I have a motion to put a moratorium with all speed humps from Ms. Wright, second Ms. Stockton. Is there any more discussion on that?
What does that do, Mr. Mayor, to Montview that's in limbo? Does that include that one?
I think it's in limbo.
Just something that even them can tell them.
Yeah, I think there's one thing that did, and I'll refer this to Mr. Clark. I don't know if he did it or not, but reading this policy, it said they couldn't have no more than 500. Where is it at? Traffic volumes of proposed street must not exceed 500 vehicles per day. Do we do a traffic count when we do that before?
Tony did on the traffic count he done out there, and Kelly read that report. It seemed like, I forget how many, but it was well over 500 cars per day. Kelly, you remember what the count was?
I think it was 1,000 something.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if that was one way or both ways. Mr. Bowling can probably allude to that.
That was both ways. It's really hard to tell. Again, that's one of those things that's not an exact science. And again, I don't know how this policy is, but in terms of a traffic count, you probably need multiple counts to come up with an average. And those are things we can talk about. I don't think a one-time count is going to give you an accurate snapshot. So just a whole lot of issues with this, and I think stepping back and evaluating it might be a good idea.
Mayor, before we vote on this motion that's on the table, I have a question. How would that affect someone who is in the process? Because I happen to know somebody called me a while back and asked me how to get the application for speed bumps, and they got it. I got it from Kelly, sent it to them. I've told them everything, about you won't be able to have your road scraped, if it snows, the whole nine. They're like, we don't care. We want them. I know they're in the process right now of getting their signatures. So, you know, I don't think it would be fair when you've already told somebody this is the policy, giving them the policy, and they're in the process of getting their signatures, to when, you know, if they do turn it in next week, say, whoa, we put a moratorium on it last week, you know, and
then that just stops it until we figure this out. Anyone else? Madam Clerk, call the roll on the moratorium for speed humps, please.
Councilmember Brown.
Yes.
Councilmember Childs.
Yes.
Councilmember Griffiths.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Humphreys.
no.
Councilmember Stockton.
Yes.
Councilmember Wright.
Yes.
Mayor Neal.
Aye.
6 ayes, 1 nay.
Item C is discussion and consideration of a request by Jason Taylor to close a portion of Cumberland Street for a car show on March the 20th. Mr. Bowler, would you like to speak towards this?
I will, and just real quick, if I could back up, do you want this on the agenda next month's workshop?
Yes, most definitely.
Okay. So we have a request. We've been given a request by Jason Taylor. He wants to have a car show on March the 20th. He's going to have it in the parking lot of the high school. Don't quote me on this. I believe it's a fundraiser that he's working on, but he would like to block off part of Cumberland Street. This is certainly something that would require council action to do. It would be on a Saturday, so it wouldn't affect school, but I wanted to bring the request to you as he asked me to.
All right, does anyone want to make a motion to close a portion of Cumberland Street on March 20th?
We're going to check with Cisco down there also, aren't we? I don't know if they work on Saturdays or not.
I don't think he does, but I can
Reach out to him.
I can if there's an issue. I'll reach out to him here in just a minute when we get done.
If you do this, we certainly wouldn't do the portion, you know, it would probably be no closer to the high school than Johnson Street, and but probably just that immediate area is all he'll need right there in front of the parking lot. I think maybe he wants to have some food trucks or vendors or something in there.
Cisco's is closed on Saturdays.
Do I hear a motion to close portion of Cumberland Street?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Ms. Wright. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion by Ms. Humphries. Is there any other discussion? Madam Clerk, call the roll on the closing of Cumberland Street for a car show.
Councilmember Brown.
Yes.
Councilmember Childs.
Yes.
Councilmember Griffiths.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Humphreys.
Yes.
Councilmember Stockton.
Yes.
Councilmember Wright.
Yes.
Mayor Neal.
Aye.
7 ayes.
With no other business, the regular meeting of the Kingston City Council is adjourned. We'll go straight into the Kingston Beer Board meeting. We'll call to order the regular meeting of the Kingston Beer Board. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll on the Beer Board, please?
Member Brown.
Present.
Member Childs.
Present.
Member Griffiths.
Present.
Vice Chair Humphreys.
Present.
Member Stockton.
Present.
Member Wright.
Present.
Chairman Neal.
Present. Do I hear a motion for the passing of the previous minutes?
I'll make a motion.
I'll make a motion. We got two motions. Motion by Ms. Humphries, second by Mr. Childs. Is there any corrections or deletions to the minutes?
No, sir.
Okay. Madam Clerk, call the roll on the previous minutes.
Member Brown.
Yes.
Member Childs.
Yes.
Member Griffiths.
Yes.
Vice Chair Humphreys.
Yes.
Member Stockton.
Yes.
Member Wright.
Yes.
Chairman Neal.
Aye.
7 ayes.
No business, so I'm calling the beer board meeting adjourned. And we'll go straight into the regular meeting of the Kingston Water Board. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Member Brown.
Present.
Member Childs.
Present.
Member Griffiths.
Present.
Vice Chair Humphreys.
Present.
Member Stockton.
Present.
Member Wright.
Present.
Chairman Neal.
Present. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes from our previous meeting?
I make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any corrections or deletions to the minutes?
No.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll on the minutes.
Member Brown.
Yes.
Member Childs.
Yes.
Member Griffiths.
Yes.
Vice Chair Humphreys.
Yes.
Member Stockton.
Yes.
Member Wright.
Yes.
Chairman Neal.
Aye.
7 ayes.
Are there any citizens that wish to address the beer board tonight? Not seeing any, I'll go into the utility director's report. Mr. Bowles.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't really have anything per se in addition to my written report. Just pretty weather. A lot of people out, a lot of crews out doing maintenance work. You may have seen them around working on some lift stations. Just trying to be proactive with that, and a lot of budget work going on right now. So just work goes on, but I don't really have anything specific to report other than what you have in my written report.
Does anyone have any questions for the utility director? Seeing none, we'll go into new business. Discussion and consideration to offer service line coverage for master meters, meters over 2 inches, and irrigation systems. Mr. Bowling, I'll get that with you.
Okay, I'll start this off, and we have Michelle, Marcia, and Kelly are all on who can all speak to this as well. We've been looking, as you know, at our serve line coverage since we initially got it, and where do we have gaps, and where can we fill those gaps in. We have found that some of the areas that we didn't have coverage, master meters, as we said, larger meters over 2 inches in irrigation systems, and we have the ability to offer coverage for all of those now, which will basically expand available coverage to potentially to all of our customers, should they choose to accept it. So wanted to bring this to you. Like all of our coverage is offered, this would be optional and would be completely at the customer's expense. But if you so approve, then we'll be able to offer this, and like I said, it will cover basically every type of customer that we have. So if you have any questions, again, I have several members of the staff on here who can answer this, but would recommend we move forward with this.
I've got one. How is it going to cover an irrigation system? I mean, if they could water for a month and say, "Hey, I had a water leak." I mean, I don't see how it would cover irrigation systems.
I'll let Kelly or Marcia, whoever wants to jump in on that one.
Mayor, from our irrigation, each customer has their own meter for irrigation. It's not included with their regular. So, if they had high usage one month, we're going to see that on our leak report that we work every month, and we would contact that customer. And if the customer says, I've been out, pressure washing, whatever, we're good. But if they've not used it in the last month, then we're going to know there's a leak somewhere, and they would go through the same as any residential or commercial customer that we would have with ServLine. We would have to give them the, once they file the claim with ServLine, then we would have to get them the previous month's usage and send to them, which would show that.
And ServLine's okay, all right with this?
Yes. Before it was not offered. They've just since started offering that since we've had our usual residential and commercial claims.
Does anyone on the utility board want to address it? Mr. Brown?
How many 2-inch meters do we have? How many customers do you, just a guesstimate? And then the master meter, I'll just go ahead and throw both mine on there so I don't have to ask it. Master meters, that would not include the master that we interconnect with Midtown. Would it include our utility user?
I've actually
That's a master meter.
The master meters are like for apartment complexes that we could not cover before.
Oh, okay.
Where you've got one meter for 10 different units.
One meter that services.
Yes.
Yeah, I've had. Me and Sandy McPherson's had some of those.
And I do have the question posed to ServLine right now about our wholesale customers that we have, and if we could offer that to those connections as well. I'm still waiting to hear back from that.
All right. Anything else, Mr. Brown?
As for his other question about how many, how many meters we have over 2?
Yeah.
I don't know if we have that answer off the top of our head, or we have to get back to you. Marcia, do you know that by chance?
I talked to Kevin about it. I'm thinking there's like 8 that are 2 inches. There might be a few more.
Yeah, I know there aren't a lot, but we wanted to at least be able to offer this if it's something they're interested in.
All right. Did anyone else want to make a motion to consider offer the ServLine coverage for these meters?
I'd make that motion if it includes, this will get us 100%. That keeps us from having another policy for somebody and adjusting something. I'm not for adjusting nothing.
Here's a second, Randy, Mr. Childs. All right, I got a motion and a second. Is there anyone else wanting to have discussion on this? Madam Clerk, call the roll on offering ServLine coverage.
Member Brown?
Yes.
Member Childs?
Yes.
Member Griffiths?
Yes.
Vice Chair Humphreys?
Yes.
Member Stockton?
Yes.
Member Wright?
Yes.
Chairman Neal?
Aye.
7 ayes.
All right, that's the end of the agenda, but I want to bring up one more thing. I didn't talk about it in the council meeting. Was Mr. Bowling? So the governor has extended Zoom meetings till, is it the end of April?
I believe so. Sandy, is that correct? You know, I think it is.
I think that's my understanding, yes. That does not mean that you all have to do it that way.
Right. That was my next thing. Do we want to continue the Zoom meetings, or are we ready to get back together?
I've already let Planning Commission know that this month, or I'm getting ready. Actually, I don't know if I've sent that email out yet, that we are going to start meeting in person in April.
Okay. And so not for this month, but in April?
Right.
Anyone else have anything? Okay, well, we'll discuss it more later. All right, so that's the end of the agenda. So this meeting of the Kingston Water Board is adjourned.